Hey, welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy hump day. It's been a long week, but we're here. It's been a really long week here at Blaze TV Studios where we're basically in hell for many reasons, but the most of which is that I think is the AC broken, Stephen? It's still broken.
Yeah.
It's just literally broken.
Yeah, it's I don't know how hot it is now. It was 80 degrees at 9 o'clock this morning with no lights on. And when you'll see later, if you watch Glenn's show, he didn't even do it in the studio. He did it in radio.
Yeah, because he was like, screw this. It's too damn hot.
He would have probably literally melted. It's really hot. I'm curious to see how much you'll get.
How much I'll get done before I just walk out? Can I just walk out mid-show if I get too hot?
Your name's on it, so I guess you could kind of, I don't know what we'll do at that point. Maybe, I'll...
Hey, that's not my problem, right? This is a hostile work environment.
It's not. I didn't do it on purpose. It's not me.
I feel like it's you.
It is really, really hot. No, it's not. I have to work in there, and it's not fun.
It's really bad. So we're going to try our hardest. I also have like 2 other guests today, and I just feel really bad because I'm like, hey, welcome to hell. Congratulations, you're here. Try not to sweat. Anyway, so we'll see how far we get before makeup has to come, not just in between the segments, but like in the middle of our segments. And, make sure that they're blotting off all of our sweat here. So
try to get someone, I can get someone on set to get one of those big fan. We'll just have something like that.
Yeah, like we were talking about with the, what was it, the palm leaves?
Yeah, palm leaf. I need like maybe a robot for that.
I'm waiting.
Palm leaf.
I'm waiting.
I'm on it.
I'm waiting. So we've got a lot to get into, especially when it comes to whether or not we are a country that decides to protect children. Are we a country that decides to protect children or not? I want to get into that, and I'm going to with several guests that I have today. But I want to first talk about the rebrand that you see happening within the Democrat Party. And, you saw what happened in November. They got totally just embarrassed at the polls. Obviously, we talk about the mandate that was sent. Obviously, it was not just the president, but it was the House of Representatives and it was the Senate, because all of these Americans showed up at the ballot box and said, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. We don't want anything to do with you. And now you see with some of the pivots and some of the polls that are coming out, you see the Democrats, I think, are realizing how much shit they're in at this point. There's some recent polling from the City Journal, and they say, according to an election post-mortem by the Democratic polling firm Blueprint, published in mid-November, swing voters who broke for Trump, as 52% did, compared with only 36% for Harris, saw Democrats as being more supportive of immigrants than American citizens. 73%. So obviously that's a bad thing. They didn't like that. They saw Democrats as wanting to promote transgender ideology, which was 72%. And they saw Democrats as being too focused on identity politics, 67%, having extreme ideas about immigration and race and gender. And so, again, you have all of these regular everyday voters who are like, I just want to, so here's what I'd like to do, guys. I'd like to just have my family, and I would like to, keep my family safe. I want my family to be safe. I want my neighborhood to be safe. I don't want illegals taking over my city and killing our citizens. Okay. Number 2, I would like to take my kids to school and expect that the school that my taxes are paying for are not going to just indoctrinate my children rather than teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. I don't want you guys to trans my kids at school, right? I think that open borders is a bad idea. I mean, these are just very basic ideas that the people of this country stood up and said, we don't want this anymore. And so you look at the Progressive Policy Institute survey of working class voters on top of that last poll. They said that 68% of respondents to their poll said that Democrats had moved too far left, compared with only 47% of the voters who said that Republicans had moved too far right. Now, 47% that's too high for me. Because I don't understand how they're moving to, like, what is too far right? I would like to know. I would like to know because we do have, I feel like this is compromise, guys. We have a former Democrat who is currently in the White House. He has been more than flexible. He even has, nominated a Kennedy as one of his secretaries. Tulsi Gabbard, former Bernie Sanders supporter, as one of his other, high-level roles. I don't think that that's really too far right. So I know this is word, or the takeaway is, of course, more people think the Democrats had moved too far left. I'm still uncomfortable, I'd like to just point out, with the fact that 47% of people said that Republicans had moved too far right. That sounds like 47% of retards is what I'm getting from that. And so you see the Democrats, they're looking at this, they're looking at the writing on the wall, and they're like, okay, crap, what do we do? Because clearly we have lost the average everyday American. And it's going to be very interesting to watch because they're crazy. Don't let them fool you. I know that they want to go on all of these talk shows and they want to act like they're just the reasonable ones. This mean Donald Trump is like trying to deport gang members, and that's really mean. We just want the rules to be followed. We just want the laws to be followed. We all of a sudden believe in the Constitution, and so we're using that word again like we know what it means. And so we've seen, though, how crazy all the Democrats really are when they feel like they're free to be themselves and they don't feel like they're putting on a show for anyone. So I just want to remind people of what we're actually dealing with. Watch.
Democrat leadership.
I am tired of the white tears.
I am so tired of white men failing up.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
We will not shut up!
That ain't true. That's what you just heard.
Screw you and the horse you rode in on.
And shut down the Senate!
That Elon Musk has done with his high technology act.
These people are just idiots.
The Democratic Party brand is really problematic.
This is what Elon Musk did with his high technology ass. Wow. Wise words from Maxine Waters over there. And so you look at all of their prominent stars. I don't think that these people are going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle. Like they're not going to, you're going to be like, hey, please just act normal. Can you just, hey, Ilhan Omar, please just act normal. Please, can you please just like, I don't know, maybe take the head thing off and then you might look a little bit more normal, but please just act normal. Just stop digging in with the DEI and all of the race baiting and just act moderate, please, because we've got the Ilhan Omars, we've got the AOCs, we've got all of these people who are like vying to be Jasmine Crockett, you just saw there, all of these people who are vying to be the next face of the Democrat Party. And I don't think any of them are going to be able to act right. When it comes time to act right, I don't think any of them are going to be able to control themselves because their entire careers have been made off of the divisiveness, off of the radical nature of what they're saying. And so let's just remind everyone, okay, here's Ilhan Omar basically alienating half the country, talking shit about white people. Watch.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
So people should be more fearful of white men. Okay. That's really interesting because when I look at the statistics for violent crimes, there is one demographic that is very heavily represented, even though they are not heavily represented when it comes to being a majority in the country. They're actually a very small minority, represent a whole lot of the violent crime, but hey, white men bad, right? Here's another one, Jasmine Crockett, who honestly, okay, so hold on. Before I play this, Stephen, is she the worst?
No, she's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, hold on.
She should run for president.
You're right. Let me fix that. Oh no. Jasmine Crockett is so good at what she does and also scary. I would hate for her to be the new face of the Democrat Party. Was that better?
Yeah, it's better, but I'm not sure I'm buying it.
Wow. Seriously, though, is she
She's
they're all so bad.
she's the worst because of her background. That she's what? Didn't she go to the best Catholic school in St. Louis?
Yes, all girls Catholic school,
Yeah.
but AOC did too. AOC had an easy upbringing too, and she went to Boston University. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's the same way. She acts like, oh, I'm from the streets, and I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna swing my neck around and I'm gonna talk like I'm from the streets. No, you're not, honey. You're from St. Louis, Missouri's all-girls Catholic school. You're not from the streets. Stop talking like that. And let's play one of her recent videos. Basically, I'll let you decide. I don't want to speak for her. I'll let you decide. It sounds a whole lot to me like she is talking about hitting political opponents with chairs, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. Watch.
There are going to be people that tell you that you don't belong, and I am here to tell you over and over and over that you absolutely belong. There are people that are going to tell you that there is not a table in which there is a seat for you, but I am here to remind you of Montgomery and those folding chairs. Let me tell you
that
we know how to use a chair, whether we pulling it up or we doing something else with it.
I mean, I just have to ask, like, wouldn't that be embarrassing to you? You are a college graduate, right? You are graduating college. You have just gone to 4 years post high school education, and you have a speaker come speak at your commencement, and they don't even use proper English. How is that not embarrassing? Like, that's incredibly embarrassing to have spent that much money or have had your parents spend that much money or, the government, but you promise you'll pay them back. And someone comes and she can't even use proper English. I don't know how you're not embarrassed of that, but she's certainly not, because she's embracing this hood rat persona that's not even real. You might have respect for it if it was real, right? If she was actually from the streets and she worked her way up and she fought for everything that she has. No, she literally was given everything with a silver spoon and then went to her first employer and said, you got to hire me because I'm black. Don't ask me, ask her. She's the one who said the story. So you've got all of these dumbasses leading the party, and you just got to wonder, like, who's actually going to take control? Because you've got AOC. That's another one that we mentioned. Let's look at AOC at a recent Fight Oligarchy rally, demanding, of course, remember, this is how radical they are. The Democrat Party, the machine, is like, please just be normal, please just be normal. And they're like, no, we want more MS-13 gang members in this country. We want as many as we could possibly have. Bring them back. We miss them. Watch.
And we also demand the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador.
El Salvador.
If we believe in democracy, he must be returned. It is criminal that he is being held abroad.
We believe in democracy. Oh, yes, these people care about democracy so much.
These things because we do have power in this moment. All of us do. Everyday people do.
I'm sure. So you've got these people just leaning into crazy. And it'll be interesting to see, because you also have people like Gavin Newsom, who clearly were vying. He was trying so hard, waiting in the wings. Every time he was asked about Joe Biden in the last election, before, of course, Kamala Harris took over, he was asked about Joe Biden, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Joe Biden is doing great, and there's nothing wrong with him. So you guys have that wrong. And I want to play him clearly trying to create a more moderate approach, a moderate spin. We watched him with Charlie Kirk. He sat there and was like, I don't think trans men should play against, or trans women should play against biological females. That would be terrible. Buddy, you wrote the book on it. I would never use the term Latinx or Latinx. That's crazy. I would never do that. Buddy, we've got documentation of you using the terms. You are trying to create a history that does not exist for yourself, in which you are this moderate being, and you just haven't been that. But I want to play Gavin Newsom talking about being humbled recently by voters.
We lost. We lost the popular vote, and we lost the electoral vote. We We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand it. At the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
All of the above. What say you, Stephen? All of the above. Everything you just said and way more. Way more. We could go on, but yes, all of the above.
I mean, he's the worst. It's just pathetic.
Do you think he could be the Antichrist?
I mean, he's definitely a lizard man. Like that is absolutely the truth.
It's so like it's just there's just something so off-putting about him, like the used car salesman hair, and the fact that like I think he's the Antichrist.
Yeah, he's Patrick Bateman from, he
is
American Psycho.
He is.
Looks just like it. It's
yeah.
Not a real person. Do you think he actually has any belief in anything?
No,
I don't either.
No. Yep. He wants to just decide what is popular at the time. Now, I will say this. I do think that he is an actual tyrant at heart. I don't think that he is an ideologue. I do think that he is a tyrant. And I think that anyone who lived in California at the time that COVID was happening would probably agree with me, or they're retarded, which I do know people who did live there during those times, and they're just retarded, so they'll never admit it. But that's okay. We don't hold that against them. It's not their fault. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. So Birch Gold is there for those of you who, maybe you've got an IRA, a 401k lying around collecting dust, and you're just tired of it just sitting there. Might I suggest you think about diversifying into gold and silver, because gold and silver historically has been the best hedge against any sort of economic instability, against, we were just dealing with Bidenflation. Thank God President Trump is in office now, but he actually also specifically exempted gold and silver bullion from all of these tariffs that he's doing. So if you haven't already looked, now is the time to look at diversifying into precious metals, and I would encourage you to have a free consultation with a Birch Gold precious metals specialist. They helped us. I would not recommend this to you if I had not already done it. We do business with Birch Gold. They have made it very, very easy for us. They explained everything in a very well-mannered way, and I felt very confident with the decision that we made. But all I'm asking you to do, text the word Sarah, my name, Sarah, S-A-R-A, to 989898. You're not going to be on the hook for anything. They're going to send you a free, no obligation information kit on gold, and they're going to explain how you can hold gold and silver in a tax sheltered account that's not going to cost you a penny out of pocket. There's no reason not to get information, guys. That's all it is. Text my name, Sarah, to 989898. Well, I want to welcome to the show. It is not his first time on my show, but his first time on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, Alex Rosen, a good friend of mine. He is, of course, the founder of Predator Poachers, where Alex has a very, very unique job. Alex basically traps. You tell me if I have this right. I don't want to mischaracterize what you do. I don't want to simplify it. I don't want to dumb it down. I don't want to make it sound like you don't do good work, because your work is very important. He just literally traps child sex predators and shows up at their door, and like a more based Chris Hansen.
Yes, an extremely more based Chris Hansen, who has not gone to jail for bouncing checks from his audience, but rather gone to jail for exposing a pedo, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I do. I want to get into that, because that was nuts. I was online and I was like, oh, Alex got her. What did Alex do this time?
Yeah.
Why did Alex get her? Alex was telling the truth too much, ruffling too many feathers when it comes to trying to get pedos arrested. So I want to get your take on this first. The FBI and the DOJ just today. This was great timing, because you were coming in and I was like, oh shit, I have to get Alex's take on this. They just announced this major joint operation, 205 suspected child sex predators they arrested across the United States, 115 children that they rescued. And I want to play FBI Director Kash Patel with this warning that he has to child predators. Watch.
Our children, if you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America.
Are you confident in that message in this administration?
Well, I guess I'm more confident in the last administration. I mean, they still got to do a lot more. The Epstein list still is not released, which is a problem. But you know what? I mean, one of our cases just went federal yesterday. Tony Rodriguez in Fairport, New York. He's in Monroe County. I don't know if you remember that video of like that DA getting pulled over by her own officer. Do you remember that video? It's a female. But it's that county, so obviously she's not going to do anything about a child predator. So the cop pushed it up to the feds, and now Tony Rodriguez is facing 10 years to life in prison for trying to go meet our decoy and having child pornography. So I will say, the feds take up our cases probably a couple times a year, and I think they're pretty good. So, I mean, at least the feds that work in the child sex crimes department. So, I mean, I think the DOJ who works for us has a lot to prove, but I think it's in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, because wasn't it under Joe Biden, they were taking people who were supposed to work on child sex crimes and they were putting them on January 6th?
Yes.
I think I saw that. So we at least maybe have a full manpower, which is nice.
Right. No, it's like a very low bar to be better than the Biden administration, but like, I mean, they are, so I guess they're clearing that bar.
Right. So tell me about, again, you just got arrested. Where was this? Houston?
No.
Where was this that you got arrested?
In Houston, but
well, people who are trying to do the right thing might get arrested in Houston.
Good point. No, I got arrested in Branson, Missouri. So there was a pedo who we caught there in October named Joshua Teague, who admitted to me that he molested his own sister. He actually got arrested in 2020 for sending 58 penis pictures to a coworker of his at Steak and Shake, the place that he was still working when we caught him. And of course, he was going after a 13-year-old decoy and sent penis pictures and did all the stuff they usually do. And he admitted to all of that. And we turned it into Branson PD. They hold him for 24 hours. No investigation follows up. The DA does not want to pursue charges. So predictably, after 3 months of just downtime for him, he hits up our same decoy and is like, they have a video out of me, but I still want to have sex with you.
Shut up.
Yes, I swear to God. And he also hits up another one of our decoys. And then again, in those messages, talks about molesting his 12-year-old sister. So at this point, I went to his job at Steak and Shake, and I tried to talk to him again. He wasn't as receptive to talking to me as you would, as the first time. Would
expect. Yeah.
And his coworkers also they didn't have any interest in me talking to him either. So I proceeded to read messages in a louder than usual voice, and I referred to him as a pedophile. And somehow I got a felony harassment charge for that.
Shut up.
I swear, a felony harassment charge.
For calling a pedophile a pedophile.
Yes, and it wasn't even against him. It was against somebody else in the store. And like, it was a person I wasn't even trying to talk to, but no threats were made. Nothing untrue was said. And of course, I didn't put hands on anybody. I don't do any of that stuff. And they charged me with felony harassment for that.
Wow. So how often would you say that law enforcement, because I mean, you do this, you just travel the country doing this for like full time. You're always working. How often would you say it is that local law enforcement works against you rather than with you?
Very, very rarely. I mean, since the beginning of March, we've had like 55 catches. I believe over 30 have already been arrested since the beginning of March. So local law enforcement is usually great to us. And
that's good to hear.
Yeah, and to be fair, they did end up arresting the pedo this time around, but it obviously took me being in the middle of town saying this guy's a pedophile, because when we did it on the side of the road, they had, we'll just sweep it under the rug. But no, an admitted child molester needs to go to jail, and that's what happened. Unfortunately, I was collateral of that, and I think it's just their bruised egos just being mad that we caught him a second time, making them look bad, because it's obvious incompetence to just not arrest an admitted child molester the first time. So anyway, he's still sitting in jail, though. Nobody at Steak and Shake or any of his friends have bailed him out, so I think now they know what's going on. So, you know what? I have no ill will towards any of them. But
you don't.
I think naivete needs to be forgiven. It needs to be kind of because it shouldn't be. I mean, it should be the cop's job to arrest him. It shouldn't be like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It put him in a tough position. But either way, I think they at least knew something was up with him, and they didn't act on it, which I was pretty disappointed in. But you know what? They know now, and if they're not bailing him out, it's better late than never. So can't really be mad at them. But yeah, the cop that arrested me is a frickin' scumbag.
Yeah. Where is that case now?
So for Joshua, who's sitting in jail.
No, for you.
Okay. Well,
Can you talk about it?
I mean, I have a review hearing coming up.
Okay.
Sometime, and it's probably gonna get delayed because I have 2 trials to go to on the same day, which I'm not even gonna make. I gotta figure out which one I'm gonna go to. But yeah, I mean, it's still pending. Even though I didn't touch anybody, didn't threaten anybody, didn't put hands on anybody, didn't get in anyone's face. The felony harassment charge is still on the books, which I think is freaking ridiculous.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Tell me, I just want to hear more about why you decided to get into this, because you don't have kids, correct?
No.
That's not a knock against you, because I have noticed this movement of this younger generation of masculine men.
Right.
Who have just decided they don't have kids, they don't have skin in the game yet, but they're like, we need to do something about what's happening to kids in this country.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just about making America great, truly. I mean, you can't just rely on Trump to make America great. You got to do it yourself. But I've always wanted to catch a bad guy since I was a little kid, and I was too young to be a cop when I was 19 when I started doing this. So this just kind of blew up before I could join the police academy. So
wow,
just took it and ran. But I'm happy to say Predator Poachers has over 180 convictions across 41 different states, and I think that's a huge mark that we've made. And
that's amazing.
More to go.
And not to mention, you've been, I know your journey of being heavily censored along the way, getting, YouTube pages taken down, channels taken down, having to start from scratch just to get the word out about pedophiles.
Yeah, it is strange. Oddly enough, YouTube reinstated one of our channels a couple months ago, but I mean, reinstated one of my friend's channels that was posting someone who looks like me a couple months ago, wink, wink. But
yeah. It's just a friend.
I mean, there's a lot of people that look like me. So.
You're not unique in any way, Alex.
No, definitely not.
So then tell people, number one, where can they find your work? Because it really is. I mean, this is, if you ever watch Dateline to Catch a Predator, that doesn't hold a candle to what Alex is doing. It's way more, might I say, it is way more entertaining. But it's just so satisfying to watch you guys bust these guys.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, above everything else, we have a very fun time doing this. And, the team that we have, I couldn't do it without them. They are the best team that anybody could ask for. They work very hard. They make me look a lot better than I am. So shout out to them. But you can find our work on Predator Poachers on YouTube and Rumble.
Great. And then how is there some way that they can help, donate to the cause or anything?
Yes, we do have a locals page, but if you follow us on YouTube and Rumble, you will hear a lot about it, because I'm a very, very shilly, money-hungry Jew. So I'll definitely let y'all know about locals.
Well, I mean, I can think of few endeavors that are more worthy of donations than catching child predators.
Yeah, no, we're very efficient. I mean, we have, like I said, 55 catches from March through April. So
you guys are busy.
Yeah.
Golly. Well, I appreciate all of your work. It's been a while. I think the last time I saw you was at a Beto event where we were both trolling him.
Yeah.
Which, R.I.P. Beto's candidacy. I sure do miss that. Okay, last thing I will say, now that I brought up Beto, did you see that he said that if Texas duty calls, if Texas wants him to run, that he'll run again?
Well, I actually like Beto O'Rourke. He's kind of funny. He's I don't dislike him, because everybody should see. I think Beto kind of likes me too, even though I crashed most of his rallies.
I disagree.
No, I think he does, because hear me out. On election day, when it was him versus Greg Abbott, he was at my local polling station, and I went up to him and I'm like, Beto, it's been a fun run together. And he actually shook my hand, but then, his white liberal handler comes up. She's like, yeah, we're not going to do that right now. And I was like, no, I'm actually trying to shake his hand. And she was like, no. You know how to do that passive aggressive smile?
Yep.
I hate when they do that.
Yep.
But yeah, no, she hated me a lot, because, at one of his events, she saw me there in my disguise. She's like, hi, so are you going to behave this time? And I'm like, yeah. And then 5 minutes later, I crashed the event. But, so no, but I think his whole thing is Beto knows he's going to lose, but he raises donations, and he takes those donations, puts it in his wife's charity, and gets it back. He's awesome. I love Beto.
It's pretty smart gig if you can get it, I guess.
He is a genius. I respect him.
Well, I, for one, if he runs, look forward to the content for us going to go troll his events. Make sure that you are following Alex Rosen, founder of Predator Poachers. Thank you, my friend. And he's going to be on with Alex Stein as well. So make sure that you go check. That's going to be a wild show.
Are we live right now?
No, we're not live. We're actually we're going to be premiering on YouTube, I think, at the same time. So there's 2 Alex Rosens. He's going to be in 2 places at once.
Damn.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. But he is going to be live with Alex Stein. So make sure that you go to the Blaze TV app and check that out. We will be right back. I want to welcome back my friend, Breanna Morello, of course, our independent investigative journalist and host of the Breanna Morello Show, which I highly suggest you check out. I say this every time she comes on, but she's got you got all the scoops. You know all the people.
You know, I try to outscoop everyone.
You do.
I'm keeping up.
I don't know how you do it. There's not enough hours in the day, and somehow she's outscooping everyone. And so I want to talk about one of your latest. I don't want to say your latest because you're like boom, 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 more. But the Homeland Security Investigations (HSI), they have located some unaccompanied migrant children, but not enough, I would say.
Yeah, sadly, they've got a real battle that they're fighting on this one. And it's because obviously the Biden regime allowed all of these children to be shuffled into our country, and they really weren't vetting these people properly. Ultimately, over 325,000 children are currently missing. And so far, HSI, according to my sources, has tried its best to go after and do well-being checks on about 100,000 of those unaccompanied children. And they've only been able to speak with about 5% of those kids and locate them.
It's nuts.
I spoke with DHS earlier today, and they said that they've been able to reconnect about 5,000 of those kids to a guardian. So again, that just goes to show that there's thousands of these children who are still missing. Yeah. And the worst part is HSI is realizing that a lot of these addresses that were handed over to federal authorities, well, they were intentionally wrong. They were false addresses. And yet, for some reason, the Biden regime just didn't think it was appropriate to vet this for handing these kids over to what we can now pretty much assume were human traffickers.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing that's so enraging to me about the Democrats. Even with President Trump's first term, they were, you had AOC fake crying at the border about the kids in the cages, and we're so sad about the innocent kids. Why do they have to be in cages? Well, here's the thing. We can't just trust that these random people that we don't know are walking across the border holding hands with a kid. We can't just trust that they're like, oh, no, it's fine. It's mine. We can't just trust that, because there are a lot of people who have made a lot of money on an industry that traffics children. And so the idea is just so preposterous on his face that we should just be like, oh, well, he said that he's his dad. It's totally fine. Let's leave this poor family to just come into America and create their own life. It's just so, it's like, you want to say it's dumb, but then it's like, I don't even think anyone could be that dumb. I just think that it's intentional, because this is an industry that I have to believe that in some way the Biden administration was profiting from, because I can't figure out any other end result of why they would allow that.
Well, one must have to assume at this point, because we sat here for years covering the whistleblowers who were coming forward from all of these agencies saying, hey, we're handing off children to literally cartel members. Right. And everyone just looked the other way. I mean, I remember when Aaron Stevenson over at DHS came forward and was like, we're literally handing children over to the cartels and sacrificing them. And for some reason, nobody within the federal government decided to, hold on a second, let's stop this. The mainstream media completely ignored all of it as well. And that's the worst part to all of this, is they tried their very best to sound the alarms on this issue. And of course, nobody wanted to pay attention to it. And like you said, I mean, why were they doing this? Because, we say all the time, oh, obviously, like the migrant crisis, as they love to call it, is due to the fact that Democrats are looking to bring in a new voting base. But at this point, these are children. These aren't voters. And most of these kids probably will never be found. That's just the harsh reality behind all of this, I had a gentleman on my show who specializes in all of this and has been investigating all of this. And he's also training members of law enforcement to, see the signs of human trafficking. And he says that, organ harvesting is going on in a lot of these cases. And as horrible and gut wrenching as this is, he's opened up my entire eyes right now to this whole situation where in Mexico, for an example, they're literally shuffling kids into veterinary clinics. And he knows the names of these veterinary clinics and they're conducting these organ harvesting cases there. He's spoken to these human traffickers in prisons here in the United States, and they're telling him this. So if our federal government really wanted to crush these issues and save these children, all they have to do is go to the same sources that he's gone to. And he's very open about coming out there and talking about these issues. It's just a matter of if somebody wants to listen to him or not.
Yeah, golly. And that's just, it's like, it raises to a whole new level of infuriation that it's children. These are children who didn't deserve it. Now, let me be clear. No one deserves to get their organs harvested. I just want to be clear on that. But there is a certain level of these kids, they got walked into it. They had no idea what they were being walked into. They trusted at a certain point along the way, they had to have trusted an adult that steered them wrong. Right. And just to think that that's what these kids are left with. And we had an American presidential administration that was helping that industry is just, it's despicable. And I worry that there will be no actual long-term, where are the arrests?
Yeah, those are great points to make because, sadly, I don't know if there's going to be any arrest in all of this. You remember when President Trump was in his first term, he was doing DNA testing. And so he was making sure that people who claim that this was their child and were bringing them into the country, that it was actually their child. Well, Joe Biden and whoever else was running the White House at the time were the ones who stopped that. And as soon as you saw that, you had to have just known that what they were doing is they were participants in a huge human trafficking scheme that was going on right now in our country, or at the time in our country. And sadly, everyone was just, let's look the other way. Let's pretend like this isn't happening. It happened. We are going to constantly have to be reminding the public about this black eye on American history. We allowed for 4 years children to be smuggled in our country to sex offenders, probably human traffickers, as well as, you hear Democrats all the time coming out and say, oh, we need illegal aliens because it's cheaper labor on farms. Well, where do you think they were getting those cheaper labor individuals? Sadly, I think a lot of them were children. And it's slavery. They don't like to call it that, but that's exactly what it is when they're being held against their will, which I'm sure a lot of them were, and they were being shuffled into all of these cities and states. I know in New York, for an example, the Venezuelans were given all of these work permits, and a lot of individuals, I think it was one of the big meat manufacturers or the processors they closed one of their places over in the Midwest, and then they reopened one in New York. It might have been. I just didn't know.
I can't remember for sure.
It was. And you have to wonder, were they sending the kids there because they were able to just clearly get any type of work papers to be shuffled into these food processing centers?
Right.
Nobody ever followed up on that. I know I've been looking into that for years now.
Yeah. It's interesting too. You bring up the point about slave labor. Obviously, that is exactly what it is. And when you're talking about children, that takes it to a whole new level of slavery. But I can't remember it was like Charlemagne or some prominent black Democrat who was on a podcast and was like, I don't think we should be deporting these illegals. We should just keep them for cheap labor. And it's like, do you not realize that you're advocating? This is the new slave labor, and everyone is just like, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's totally fine because they chose to come here, so we can just pay them way less than what we would pay an American, and they'll just do our dirty work for us. And they don't even think twice about if that's moral.
Yeah, well, those are the same people who are lecturing you and I about reparations.
Right.
Slavery happened, not in our lifetimes, of course, but the rest of us must pay for it. And so they're just so naive. But that's the left for you. They never have a factually correct argument. It's always very emotional, and it's very not fact-driven. So again, not surprising, but we see it time and time again. They don't want to have these hardcore discussions because they lose on all fronts. Slavery is obviously wrong. The rest of us know that. But sadly, the left pretends like they know it, but they're trying to go back to their roots and bring about that again with illegal aliens. And so here they are defending all of these actions. But Sarah, you and I both know the reality of it is this is slavery. People are being held against their will. I'll take you back to an incident in California just recently. local police rescued 2 young girls in California. One was 17, one was 18, but they were both smuggled into the United States when they were minors. They came from Honduras. I just recently saw HSIs claiming that they rescued the girl, but it was actually these local police officers who did. And when they went, they found these girls who were being pimped out in a hotel room in California, and their pimp was arrested, and they have now been saved, hopefully rescued, and going to go back to Honduras. But the lifelong damage, I mean, one can't even imagine what they've had to endure.
Yeah. And I mean, we're citing it as over 300,000 missing migrant children. You read this from the AP of all places. The Trump administration has initiated a multi-agency review of 450,000 unaccompanied migrant children who entered during President Biden's term. I mean, that is, again, I know I feel like every time I'm on with you talking about something, one of your stories, I use the term treason. I don't mean to overuse it, but that is just, I mean, this guy belongs under a prison, and that would be a nice outcome, I think, for the level of just harm that he inflicted, not only on American children, or not only on Americans, but on children from other places or women from other places who really didn't deserve to be trafficked. But, the cartel saw an industry, and they saw that the border was wide open, and they decided they were going to make money off of them anyway. It's truly unbelievable that we allowed this to happen, and seemingly no one is going to pay for it at the end of the day. I hope they do. I hope I'm wrong. All right, stick with me if you would. I want to talk about what's going on with, of course, Thom Tillis threatening to block one of President Trump's nominees. A good one, by the way. So Thom Tillis needs to stop playing around. We'll be back with that when we return. So Senator Thom Tillis from North Carolina is now threatening to stall the nomination, President Trump's nomination of Ed Martin for U.S. prosecutor in the D.C. district. And you would be thinking, well, hold on. Isn't this the same Thom Tillis who, basically rubber stamped Biden's worst nominees? You had AG Merrick Garland and the lot of them. And he didn't have a problem with them. Has a big problem with Ed Martin. You may be asking yourself why. Well, let Thom Tillis talk for himself. Watch.
I don't believe he's being advanced to the markup. And I met with Mr. Martin. He seems like a good man. Most of my concerns related to January 6th. And he built a compelling case on some of the 15-12 prosecutions that were probably heat of the moment bad decisions. But where we probably have a difference is I think anybody that breached the perimeter should have been in prison for some period of time, whether it's 30 days or 3 years is debatable, but I have no tolerance for anybody who entered the building.
Who were guided in by the Capitol Police.
That's probably where most of the friction was.
I see. So he disagreed with you on that?
Well, no, I have to say that Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining how there were people that probably got caught up in it, but they made the stupid decision to come through a building that had been breached and that the police officers and others were saying stay away.
Were they all saying stay away?
That they should be charged, in my estimation.
Were they?
By how much? That's an argument I'm willing to have, but we have to be very, very clear that what happened on January the 6th was wrong. It wasn't. It was not prompted or created by other people to put those people in trouble.
Really? Are we sure?
Decision, and
are we sure about that?
The United States by absolutely destroying the Capitol, and I can't have any patience for it.
What a loser. What a total freaking loser. We're really still going to act like January 6th was not a total setup?
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna do that. We've got video surveillance footage. We've got the documentation to, I would say, prove that this was a total freaking hit job on President Trump supporters. You have Capitol Police taking them on a guided freaking tour. And this guy is going to be like, oh, well, anyone who breached the perimeter. Can you really call it a breach when Capitol Police is like, come on in?
They literally held the door open for these people.
Literally.
So when we call it this big insurrection or whatever term he wants to use to kind of, lighten what happened here, it's all garbage. I love the fact, though, how he's just totally dismissing the fact that there could have been any role that the FBI played in this or any federal agency at all. He's just not open to the facts. Or is he just trying to cover up for the deep state hacks? I think he is covering for the deep state at this point because that is one of the biggest positions for those who really want anyone a part of J6 or lawfare held accountable.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying no to Ed Martin, what you're pretty much saying is you don't want to know the truth. And I think he's covering up for all of them. And I think that's the most egregious part in all of this. He couldn't even cite one quote or one actual specific disqualification that Ed Martin doesn't have when it comes to becoming the U.S. attorney in D.C. So he's sitting here and he's pretending like Ed Martin is the worst person ever and shouldn't be able to hold that office. I would beg to differ. He's the only one who's going to push forward President Trump's agenda and look into all of these cases as he's done before as a private citizen. I think that's what he fears the most.
Yeah, well, and it also, if Thom Tillis really tries to stall this, because I guess if the nomination fails to get all 15 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee to say, okay, we're going to move this forward, then he's dead in the water and President Trump's going to have to figure out what to do. But what that also means is that you've got this Boasberg judge that he's been, I mean, clearly he's out to get President Trump. Clearly he's out to stall President Trump's agenda. He's this judicial, I'll call him an insurrectionist, okay? Judicial insurrectionist who is trying to block President Trump's deportations. And he would actually be the one to get to make the DC prosecutor pick if Ed Martin is not nominated. So it's like, okay, Tom, can I call you Tom? Okay, Tom. So January 6th is important enough to you to allow a rogue judge to thwart President Trump's agenda, which, you know, I know that we are not living in a democracy, but I also hear the word democracy being uttered by literally all Democrats all the time. They care very much about a democracy. And I feel like it was kind of democracy in action when we just had an election in November and everyone said, we want President Trump to take charge. We want him to implement his agenda. And we're giving Republicans the power to do that. Yeah. And you've got losers like Thom Tillis who are like, no, it's fine. We'll just let this rogue judge decide it instead.
Yeah, so they say they love democracy. It's usually the key indicator for me when everyone says we're here to protect democracy. You're probably a communist, and I think that's where that falls for most of these folks. But interesting enough, I was a little nervous. I reached out to my good friend Mike Davis from Article 3 Project about the judge and what kind of authority he'd have, and he said, don't worry, he believes President Trump will step in and quickly replace it.
Okay, good.
So that's like the good news here. We might be saved. So again, I'm hopeful that will happen, obviously, but I want to keep driving home this one point, though. Ed Martin is currently running that office that he's looking to get confirmed on.
Yeah. And because he's the interim acting. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the best part about it. And so we have a sample size kind of look at what he'd be as the U.S. attorney for D.C. Mm-hmm. And the best part about it is if you look at the crime statistics, crime is down about 25% in D.C. since he's taken over. And I was reading an Axios article and they were like making it sound so bad. Ed Martin is threatening to make D.C. safe again. The horror to not get robbed when you're walking down the street. Oh, I couldn't imagine. That'd be awful. It'd be awful.
These people they lack the self-awareness required to just be like, oh, that sounds dumb. Maybe we shouldn't simp for criminals and murderers and pickpocketers. Yeah, and then they're like, oh, wait, those are our only votes at this point. So I guess we have to simp for them. It's just been really incredible to watch them do all of these mental gymnastics to try to be like, Donald Trump bad because he's making America and DC safe again. They're going to have what? The draft? Is it the draft in DC?
Yeah, the NFL draft.
Yeah, so they got to clean up the streets for Roger Goodell, I guess. Breanna, thank you so much. Make sure to check her out. Tell everyone we got 10 seconds. Where can they find you?
Breanna Morello Show, Rumble, and on X.
All right, make sure to check her out. She's my favorite.